Yeah, it's on.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So happy to be here with all of you. So we have a little bit of time this afternoon to absorb ourselves in remembering Krishna. So we just begin with a little bit of singing. So please please be with us. Sit down, disconnect. Prashadam will be there all afternoon. Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Jai 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 Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Gata Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Gata Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Ram Sankirtan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Gyanatirandhasya Vyanjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Bhagavatam Shri Guru Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sadhana Radhakam Tam Sajivam Sadhaitam Sadhutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Shri Shakhavitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagate Gopesha Gopikanda Radha Namostute Kaptadanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sudevi Ranamagi Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarunyascha Kripa Sindhumevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai.
Can we give a really big round of applause for So we're really grateful that we have Swayam Bhagwan Swami Maharaj with us today. Maharaj graduated from University College London And shortly after graduation, at the age of 21, or right after graduation at the age of 21, he decided to become a monk, a brahmachari. And as you can see, that journey continues today, 25 years later. He has gone on to author 10 books and design over 50 courses, empowering his students or his audiences to apply ancient insights to upgrade relationships, discover purpose, overcome inner blocks, and craft well-being on all levels. Keshav Swami's social media presence, I'm sure you all know, and online teaching platforms have introduced tens of thousands of people to Eastern wisdom. In 2022, he co-founded an initiative called Think Gita, which is now the fastest growing online portal for learning the Bhagavad Gita in a powerful, exciting, and life-changing way. Nowadays, he's traveling all over the world, teaching in eminent academic institutions, Fortune 500 companies, governmental organizations, and spiritual communities like this one. He remains a thought leader on the cutting edge, inspired to share wisdom that breeds not just book knowledge, but deep spiritual insights that transform character and consciousness. So with that little intro, I would like us to raise our hands, everyone, if you can all raise our hands, and with 3 very loud Haribols, the loudest Haribols that you have done so far. Please, let's welcome. Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you so much, Anandamara Prabhu. Thank you so much to everyone for coming this afternoon. It's really my honor to be with you. And thank you for the introduction. I wrote that introduction myself, actually. It's good, you can write your own introduction. But yeah, what's in an introduction? Actually, we're all just spiritual beings. We're all souls. When I was born, my parents gave me the name Sandeep. Which is kind of a good name actually, because deep means light, and sun as a Sanskrit prefix means complete, like Sangha or Sankirtan. So Sandeep literally means complete illumination. That's kind of a good name, you know? And when I joined the Hare Krishna movement, I became Bhakta Sandeep. And then later on, I took an initiation and I became Sutapadas. And nowadays I walk around the world and people call me a Swami. So I don't know, behind all of these names, which are all beautiful in their own ways, is just another human, just another soul in a human's body, trying to find Krishna, trying to find happiness. So I don't come in front of you as someone, especially elevated, but perhaps I picked up some things along the journey, as all of us have, and in that journey we can try and share it with you. So it's a beautiful thing. We come to Krishna consciousness and our life changes, isn't it? Wouldn't you agree? Yes. Did you plan to get this involved in Krishna consciousness when you began? I was like, how did I end up here, We came, it was a nice thing, the devotees were nice, the prasadam was nice, and they were kind of like very nice, and they said, don't worry, you don't have to change your life. Just chant Hare Krishna. And then, what can I say? Life changes. And so when I was 21, my life really did change, because I graduated from university. And then I had my spiritual calling, as all of us will in our life. And so that took me to kind of where I am now. And so nowadays I travel more, travel around the world, and it's a great fortune actually. It's the life I always wanted. And Krishna is very kind, and we all have the opportunity to make the life that we want. Of course, sometimes we look at our lives and feel like it's limitation. It feels like I really want to do so many things, but I'm limited in my life. But actually, if we pray to Krishna and if we're sincere, then Krishna, he can change anything around, and we can make our life what it can and should be. The beautiful thing about the Bhagavad Gita is Krishna is explaining to us where you are doesn't determine who you are. And so sometimes we look at ourselves and where we are in our life and we think, no, this is not where I want to be. But it's okay, where you are doesn't determine who you are. At any moment you have the power to say, this is not how the story is going to end. Krishna endows each one of us with free will. And with that free will, they say, where there's a will, there's a relative. No, Manja. They say, where there's a will, there's a way. And therefore, this free will, we should not underestimate it. The power of making a choice. You see, there are 5 worlds that we live in. The first world is the world out there with 7 billion people. The second world is the world that we choose. Out of those 7 billion people, you can choose most of them. Maybe not your mother-in-law. Nothing against mother-in-laws. Most of them we can choose who we want to be with. We can choose where we want to live, we can choose what kind of job we want to do, we can choose what worldview we want to interact with the world with. So the second world is the world that you choose. The third world is the world inside of you. That's the world that nobody sees. Sometimes they say the story of this world is smiling faces, crying hearts. Because nobody knows really quite what's going on. Anyone can smile. I also smile. But what's really going on inside? That may be something different. So the third world is the world inside of us. Then the fourth world is the part of the world that you want to change. The world that you want to change. You all want to change something in the world. We turn on the TV, we see the news, and we want to change some part of the world. Or we want to change someone. And then the fifth world is the world that we're destined for. Because at every moment we're making decisions which is creating our future world. So can you see how all of us actually live in multiple worlds? The world around us, the world we choose, the world inside of us, the world we want to change, and the world that we're destined for. Which is the world that you think you have the most control over?
Internal.
The inner world? The last one? The world that you're destined for? The world that you choose?
The third one.
Whenever you go to a Hare Krishna gathering, no one agrees. Actually, all of these worlds we have some control over. But the world which we have the most control over is the world that we choose. Because your inner world, how much can you immediately change your inner world? If you feel, some days you wake up and you just feel like a little bit down. And how much can you just say, I choose not to be down? Now, no, it's there. So sometimes we wake up. One time I was giving a class and I said, and sometimes we wake up and we just want a Kit Kat. Do you have Kit Kats here? Anyway, that week I got 50 Kit Kats. And I wasn't saying it literally, but so some days we just wake up with certain feelings and we don't know what to do with that. So the world we want to change, we'd like to change it, but how much is in our control? And the world that we're destined for, all of these worlds stem from the world that you choose. Therefore, what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita and throughout the ancient teachings of the Vedas is that there are 5 components which make for a beautiful life. According to what you choose in terms of these 5 things, life becomes beautiful. Sometimes we go on in our lives and then we look back and have regrets. There's perhaps nothing worse in the world than having regrets. And therefore one devotee once said to me, never live your life in such a way that you'll ever have regrets. And the context of when he was telling me that actually is interesting, because I wanted to join to be a monk. And of course, you know, that met with some opposition, as you can imagine. So I came to one of the monks, and it was like I was torn between everyone who was telling me not to do it and my heart which was telling me to do it. Should I become a monk? Should I not? And then one devotee, he came to me and he said, better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. So it was very cryptic. I was like, what do you say? Like, are you telling me to get married? Or like become a monk? Or what's the meaning of this? He said, better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. I think that's Shakespeare, right? Is it? Shakespeare, right? Yeah. So then he gave the purport, thankfully. He said, just try. Just try. Mark Twain said, 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than the things that you did do. And therefore we constantly limit ourselves because of fears. Will I fail? What will other people say? You know, and we constantly limit ourselves. So, okay, I thought better to have loved than I become a monk. And so we try to live our life in such a way that we shouldn't have regrets. And so the 5 components, I'm not going to go on and speak too long. I'd like to open it up and see what all of you have to say, or if you have any questions. But broadly speaking, the 5 components of a beautiful life are this. Number 1, beautiful character. Number 2, beautiful culture. Number 3, beautiful company. Number 4, beautiful contribution. And number 5, beautiful connection. If somehow or other we can incorporate these 5 things into our life, then what we will actually begin to see is how our life just becomes so beautiful. The first thing is beautiful character. I want you to close your eyes just for a minute and think of someone who really, really inspires you. You can do that. You can close your eyes. Don't worry. I'm not going to throw something on you. Think in your mind's eye, can you picture someone? Picture them in your mind. Someone who's really inspirational to you. And if you were to sum up in one word, why are they so inspirational to you? What would that word be? Yeah? Picture that person and visualize that one word.
Dedicated.
Yes, please share with me. Dedicated.
Compassionate.
Compassionate.
Humble.
Humble. Tolerant. Surrendered. Obedient. Oh, we like people who are obedient. Intense.
Service, loving.
Service attitude, loving, kind. It's amazing, isn't it? You don't remember someone for their achievements, but what you remember them for is their character. It's interesting. So much of our lives, we focus on achievements, getting things done. Percentage in an exam, position in a ranking, popularity on social media, power in an organization, prestige in a society. We measure ourselves so much by numbers. Einstein once said, everything that can be counted doesn't necessarily count. And sometimes the things that can't be counted count for more. So character is very, very important, because most people in this world have a to-do list, but very few people have a to-be list. So one thing that Benjamin Franklin, he did, is that he listed all the qualities that he would want to be remembered for. And he used to write them up and put them on his wall, and every day he would look at these qualities and he would say, these are the qualities I want to be remembered for. And therefore in all of his decisions, in all of his interactions, he would always try to do it with those qualities. So one time at the end of his life, towards the end of his life, someone came and looked at his list and said, did you manage to do it? So he went through the list and he said, yeah, I managed. But the 13th quality, I couldn't manage that one. So the person looked, number 13, which one was that? And that one was humility. And so Benjamin Franklin said, all of them I managed, but humility, I didn't manage that one. And his friend said, if you had thought you managed it, then you haven't managed it. So actually, humility is the one quality that if you think you have it, you don't have it. And that if you think you don't have it, then there's a good chance you do have it. And so Benjamin Franklin was pacified by that. Friends, the first thing I want to encourage you is think about the character. Don't just get things done in this world. Think about how much character and presence and sensitivity with which you get it done. Because ultimately, that's what will make a difference in your relationships. The second thing is beautiful culture. Basically, we are whatever habits and whatever lifestyles we create for ourselves. So if we create beautiful culture, the way we navigate our day in this world, the habits that we form, if for example we really take advantage of the morning time and live with that kind of culture and lifestyle, that my culture is that I don't do anything in this world until first I've connected with God, with divinity, with Krishna, then this kind of lifestyle and culture will actually help you to achieve what we really want to achieve in this world. In the corporate world, they have a saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. More important than a corporate company's strategy is their culture. Because even if you have a great strategy but you have no culture, then nothing will sustain. And so even in our own personal lives, culture always trumps everything else. How you get things done. The third thing is company. Who you surround yourself with is incredibly, incredibly important. They say if the people around you don't inspire you to dream more, do more, be more, envision more, then the people around you are not a circle of friends, they're a cage. They're a cage. So oftentimes we don't surround ourselves with people who can actually empower us. See, when we're sitting here and we tell people, associate with devotees, it's not like we're some fanatic cult, like, now you're on the inside, don't speak to anyone on the outside. It's not in that spirit. But what we're saying is, surround yourself with people who will inspire you to be more, to do more, to dream more. In your life, you know what one of the greatest gifts you can have is someone in your life who has more faith in you than you have in yourself. And spiritual people are like that. They can say, you can do it. Why not? You should think about this. And then you think, maybe I can. You know, in this world, all of us lack confidence. Isn't it? Would you agree? I lack confidence, for sure. But then what happened is the devotees came and they whispered in our ear, You can do it. And that's all it took. Hanuman, he could jump all the way across the ocean. But only after someone whispered in his ear, you can do it. Oh, I remember the ability that Krishna has given me by your words. That's the power of spiritual company. You know, if I'm honest with you, I never came to the Hare Krishna movement to have friendships. When I became a monk, I was thinking it's me, God, and goodbye to the world. that was my kind of thinking, you know, like I'm moving away from all these things. And then I came to the Hare Krishna movement and every other class was about relationships. I was like, what are you guys talking about? Like, what did I sign up to? I don't want relationships like me and God. I'm done with all these people here. They were like, no, you need relationships. Now, if you ask me, what's my greatest wealth in my life? I will tell you hands down, the greatest wealth I have in my life is my friendships with others. That is what makes it. Everything else we don't have the strength, but when you have good friendships, anything's possible. So the third thing is beautiful company. The fourth thing is beautiful contribution. You know the sure formula for a boring life? One which begins and ends with I, me and mine. If it's all me, life will be very boring. But when life becomes about making a contribution, about trying to make the world a better place, about selflessly contributing to someone else's happiness, in that selflessness, incredible things begin to happen in our own lives. There's a beautiful prayer in the Quran. It says, prayer will take you halfway to God. Fasting will take you to the door of God. But charity will induce God to open the door from the inside. So prayer, yes, we can pray. That's very nice. Fasting, even better, showing that we have some discipline, some spiritual practice. But then when we also think about something more than our own lives. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada was so kind. His life was just made based on making a contribution. One time Srila Prabhupada came to America, and there was an Indian reporter in the press conference. So Prabhupada was in America, the Indian reporter stood up and said, Swamiji, why have you come to America? I mean, he himself was an Indian. So Prabhupada looked back at him and said, why have you come to America? So he looked back at Prabhupada, he said, better opportunities. Prabhupada said, me too. He said, but you came for better opportunities for your own benefit. But I came for better opportunities because I wanted to give. I wanted to serve. Because I wanted to actually try to do something which would make people happy. And so when we live a life like that, where we try to make a contribution, then life becomes very, very beautiful. They say you earn a living by what you get, but you earn a life by what you give. And so those moments spent in selfless service to others, those moments make our life meaningful. And so beautiful contribution. And the final thing, and perhaps the thing which underpins everything, is beautiful connection. Because ultimately all of us are looking for our long-lost friend. And that long-lost friend is Krishna. Krishna is so much eager to have a relationship with us. And I was mentioning this the other day, that I was so impressed with the devotees because when they talked about Krishna, they talked about Krishna as though he was like their friend. Like Krishna's playing a trick on us. Maybe Krishna's telling us something. Maybe Krishna wants us to do this. And I was like, it blew my mind because I never thought of God as someone so present. Like Krishna, like my conception of God was he's up there, we're all down here, you follow the rules, don't get him angry, he'll leave you alone, and you get on with your life. But here they were talking about Krishna, so he's so active in our life. And that fascinated me. I was like, I want to try and see is Krishna. And then the devotee said to me, Krishna is alive. Krishna is active. Krishna is affectionate. And Krishna is ready to acknowledge every one of your acts of devotion to him. So we want to have this connection. And that means that each one of us have to spend time connecting with God. The depth of any relationship is proportionate to the amount of attention and commitment. Simple formula. Simple formula. Why think of any deep relationship you have in your life is because there was attention and there was commitment. So if one wants to have a deep connection with God, if one wants to perceive, yeah, Krishna is playing a joke on me. Yes, Krishna is telling me. You can perceive that right now. But there must be attention and there must be commitment. And therefore Krishna consciousness is not hard, but what's hard is the everyday principle. The everyday principle. Madhvacharya, he says, I don't judge a person by how much they can do in one day. I judge them by what they do every day. Here we are. It's a very inspiring program. But then there's the next morning when the alarm clock goes off. What's going to happen then? So, beautiful connection. This is the opportunity that each one of us have. And so to make a commitment. And we spend so much time on so many things. So why not now try to spend some time in dedicated commitment to Krishna and invest in that relationship, really, and see what happens. Why not? Worth a try. Maybe we'll make a beautiful connection. So here, remember, out of the 5 worlds that we live in, the world that you choose is the world that you have the most control over. And each one of us can walk out of this room today and say, I'm going to create a world in which I craft beautiful character. I'm going to create a world in which I organize beautiful culture. I'm going to create a world in which I invite beautiful company. I'm going to create a world in which I try to make a beautiful contribution. And I'm going to create a world in which I try to forge a beautiful connection with Krishna. And it's as simple as that. Because at the end of life, everything will disappear. But what we invest in these 5 areas, that will remain with us eternally. And so, at the end of each day, ask yourself the question, what did I do today to invest into my eternal bank account? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Sometimes it's kind of like this, we come to a program and I didn't come with anything specific. And somehow or other I came here and this is what I wanted to share with all of you. So I hope some of it was useful. You want to say something?
Yeah. Sorry, Hare Krishna. We have 2 cars that need to move. We're blocking people in. One I believe may have been moved already. There's a blue Hyundai license plate CVYM 423, and the second one is a grey Mercedes CBMB 293. So if either of those 2 cars are yours, if you could kindly move them, please. Thank you.
Thank you. How are we doing for time? Would anyone like to ask any questions, or if you have any contributions? Be free, yes. Okay, 1, 2. I don't know if we have a roaming mic, do we? Or no? No, okay. You can speak and then I'll repeat, yeah.
Thank you. First, the nice class. For me, it was relatable today because, sometimes I find we do a lot of kirtan and everything, and I would like to know, what would be the difference between, how could you describe it, a kirtan that we do for fun, like for our own pleasure, and I mean, this is unconscious sometimes, and a kirtan that we do for the pleasure of the Lord. What would be the different symptoms and what would be the different results, if you can describe that, please?
Thank you so much. So nowadays we do activities, maybe for example like kirtan. And how do we do it in such a way that it's really a devotional offering to Krishna? The first thing to understand is that these activities are so powerful that even if sometimes they're done unconsciously or neglectfully, even sometimes, they still have great benefit. There's a verse in the 6th canto, Shanketyam parihasyam vaishtobam heyanameva va Vaikunthanam agrahanam asheshaga kalamvidum. That the holy name of Krishna is so powerful that even if chanted neglectfully, jokingly, even if chanted to indicate something else, still ashesha it can remove many, many sins. So the holy name of Krishna is like Chintamani, it's the touchstone. Therefore, it has an effect. My own spiritual master, he tells the story of how he was living someone before he was a devotee in Amsterdam. He was living with someone and she had a dog, and the dog's name was Krishna. And somehow this dog would run out every night, and so she would tell him, go and find the dog. So he would be running in the streets of Amsterdam saying, Krishna, where are you? Krishna, come home. Krishna, Krishna. It had its effect. However, when we chant with intention, when we chant with attention, and when we chant with proper character, then that kind of chanting touches Krishna's heart in a different way. The intention of chanting is to please Krishna. The intention of chanting is to really cry to Krishna, to be engaged completely in this service. And therefore, when we're chanting, somehow or other, we have to take our attention away from ourselves, and we have to try to really connect with the object of that chanting. And then chanting requires one to be fully attentive. So another way to see it is that the hand, the head and the heart. The hand means you do it. You get your hand on a beat, or you participate in a kirtan. The head means you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. And the heart means you do it from a deep space of surrender, without trying to bring attention to oneself, but rather to do it in the spirit of really connecting with Krishna. So that takes time. So we should never stop chanting. Even if we feel that we're chanting offensively, Scriptures tell us, Nama parada yuktanam haranteva haramdakam. That even if you feel you're chanting offensively, still continue chanting but increase the quality. So the hand, the head and the heart. Do it, number one. Number two, do it understanding the nature of the activity. And number three, do it from a deep space in the heart. Indradina Maharaj once said, all we're doing, all of our service, all of our study, all of the austerity that we're doing, everything we're doing in spiritual life is just so that one day we can sit in one corner of the room, chant one name of Krishna and experience one genuine tear drop fall from our eye. If you come to that point, job done. So, Eka Krishna Nama Kare Sarva Papa Kshoy. One name of Krishna is enough. But it may take a lot of names to get to that one name. So, yes, the hand, the head, and the heart. Some thoughts. Hope that helps. Thank you.
Thank you for the lecture. I had a question about how could we develop faith in Krishna in like the 9 stages of bhakti? How can we develop or strengthen the first stage, Shraddha?
So how can we increase our faith in Krishna? So I was mentioning this morning also in the class that there are 3 building blocks of faith: philosophy, people, and practice. So you see Shraddha, Jiva Goswami explains what is actually Shraddha. Shraddha means faith. But what faith in what? So what do you think? Shraddha means faith. But he says the highest quality of faith means faith in what? What do you think? Krishna? Shastra. Actually he says Shastriya, Shraddha. Everyone has faith, but everyone has a different quality of faith. One type of faith is known as Lokika Shraddha. This means a cultural type of faith. I do it because my mom did it, and my dad did it, and because their parents did it, and because we've been doing it, and that's what we do. We go into the temple and we put our hands over the arati and we put it, that's what we do. Very good. You have faith. But it's Lokika, because we don't really have much understanding. Then he says a higher type of faith than that is Baladut Padita, which means faith which is forcibly placed within you by someone else's conviction. Sometimes you may meet an enthusiastic Hare Krishna devotee who gives you a full Bhagavatam class. Very charismatic. I tell you, when I met the devotees, I was like, these guys are so charismatic. I really found that. So by hearing them, you get faith, like wow. So it's good, but it's not your faith. It's someone else's faith. It's being forcibly transposed into you. But then Jiva Goswami says higher than that is Shastriya Shraddha, which means, or Svabhaviki Shraddha, which means natural faith that comes from understanding what we're doing here. And so, therefore, scriptures are really, really important. Because the quality of your faith depends on the quality with which you actually understand what we're all doing here. And that comes from the scripture. So, those people, you will see, note, those that have faith in scripture and knowledge of scripture, it doesn't mean you have to become a scholar and know like all the verses and all of that, but it means you have to deeply understand the principles. Anyone can do that. So philosophy and then people, I already mentioned, have good company, and practice, just serve Krishna and see that Krishna is alive, you know. When I came to the temple, I said to one devotee, I'm not sure if Krishna exists. And he said, we're not trying to convince you Krishna exists. I was like, okay. He said, no, we're not trying to convince you that Krishna exists. We want to equip you with the tools and the practices by which you will experience Krishna for yourself. I was like, okay, sign me up. Sign me up for that. Yeah, we want to really see Krishna. We want to experience Him. But then you have to do something for Krishna. So we have to talk to Krishna. We have to spend time with Krishna. His Grace Purijan Prabhu does a nice seminar, Alone with Krishna. Alone with Krishna. My mind is going crazy. Yes, but if you spend time alone with Krishna, then your faith will increase because Krishna will talk to you. Krishna is available, but we have to open our heart. Is that okay? Thank you.
I have a question. And so after Shraddha we have like Bhajan Kriya, and when we do Sadhu Sangit Bhajan Kriya, we get comfortable in that okay, I am doing it and this is what I meant to do. And another thing will happen by mercy of God, and that's what that will leave to the Krishna. But what happens is when we take comfort place in this bhajan kriya, then we hear that Bahu Janma Yadi Kari Shravana Kirtan Tabu Na Pai Krishna Kirtan.
So how to avoid getting comfortable?
No, yeah, and how to remind ourselves that urgency to do and how to accelerate.
Yeah. You look very comfortable there. Me too. Nice, comfortable place. So the tendency in this world is to become comfortable. Yes, I have my rounds that I do, I have my reading, I have my life, and everything is nice. But is it enough? See, Krishna, do you think Krishna wants you to be comfortable or uncomfortable? Uncomfortable? Comfortable. What does Krishna want for you? Does he want you to be comfortable or does he want you to be uncomfortable? Hopefully Krishna wants us to be comfortable, otherwise we're dealing with someone who's like really... Krishna actually wants you to be comfortable. But Krishna wants you to be comfortable in spiritual consciousness. So what happens is in the beginning of our life, we're comfortable in material life. So what does Krishna do? He comes in and he messes it all up. Why are you messing my life up? Because Krishna is saying, I want you to be comfortable, but you can't be comfortable in material life. Therefore, I'm making you uncomfortable. Then what happens is we come to spiritual life, and then what happens is we get comfortable in spiritual life. So is it bad to be comfortable in spiritual life? Not. See, we have to be comfortable not with our external arrangements. We have to be comfortable in our inner consciousness. So therefore, even a comfortable spiritual life may also be a trap. Therefore, sometimes what we have to do is, even in our spiritual life, we have to keep creating some level of discomfort because we need to go higher now. Now we need to find comfort in Krishna consciousness, in genuine Krishna consciousness. So your point is that how do we avoid getting comfortable in spiritual life and actually become comfortable in Krishna consciousness? How do we make that jump? There's two things you can do, but both of them go with health warnings. The first thing you can do is you can pray to Krishna. Krishna, I'm just getting comfortable here. Do something. It's up to you. Tomorrow I'll be going from Toronto. have to deal with it. But you can face a Krishna. Kunti Devi does. Vipadar shantu tah shashvat tatra tatra jagat guru bhavato darshanam yachyat apunal bhavadarshanam. Krishna, send me more and more calamities. Yes, because when calamities come, I see you. And when I see you, it means I don't have to see this material world again. So you can pray. Do you want to know option 2? There's easier way than that. The other way to make sure you don't get comfortable in spiritual life is to have someone in your life who's pushing you. If you allow someone to come into your life who can push you, because you have love for them, and because they have love for you, and because they're very close to Krishna, and they say to you, okay, now you have to do this. And you're thinking, but I don't want to do this. But because of your love for them, you say, okay, I have to do it. Then the devotees, what they can do is they can push you. Practically all of us will need someone in our life to push us, because otherwise we're just going to get lazy. Most of us. Swami, on Srila Prabhupada's order, he went to the communist countries to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. Now you have to understand what this means. If you get stopped and they find books, it's game over, right there. He took that kind of risk. After traveling there, he came back to see Prabhupada. Prabhupada called him into the room. Prabhupada began rubbing his head. And Prabhupada said, you have become so dear to my Guru Maharaj because you took such a risk for service. And so he was rubbing the head of Bhakti Tirtha Swami Kanasham at that time. And Bhakti Tirtha Swami was so overwhelmed, he began crying. And he looked at Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, we only did it because you pushed us. And Prabhupada said, my Guru Maharaj pushed me. I'm pushing you. And in the future you will also push others. And just like one train carriage latches onto another, which latches onto another, and the whole train goes back. In the same way, if you connect yourself to that train of teachers who can push you, then they will make sure you become comfortable, but comfortable in Krishna consciousness. So in my life I felt that I am lazy, but somehow my great fortune was that there were people in my life who just pushed me. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. With one devotee, he would just push me like anything, but I had such love for him. When I would see his name on my phone calling, I was like, oh my God. I told him, when he passed away, I told him just before he passed away, I said, sometimes I just had to cancel your call. Because I knew every time I picked up the phone when you were there's going to be some element of surrender here. I'm not ready for that, you know? So I told him, sometimes I just... But it was very beautiful because I interacted with him and I was like, this is a saintly person, it's a sadhu. And I want to try and please them. And then when I did do it, it was always beautiful. But I never wanted to do it. So it's the story of life that we don't want to do things. We just want to be comfortable. But those who are convenience focused are experience starved. Don't look for a comfortable life. They say the pain of discipline is uncomfortable, but the pain of regret is unbearable. So, which one? Option 1 or 2? Think about it. I'll think about it. Yes. Thank you. Nice question.
Maharaj, can you just elaborate a little bit more on how about when people are in Krishna consciousness? They're not on the shore, they're not on the deep end, they're like on the surface.
On the
how
surface,
to go
yeah.
deep in?
How do you go deep? That's a very general question, because for different people going deep may mean different things. Broadly speaking, like I said, there are certain things which make for a substantial spiritual life. Your sadhana, your service, your sangha. We can say those three primary things. So sometimes devotees are very good in their service. They do a lot of service. Whatever you want them to do, practically they could stay at the temple till midnight and carry on serving. They love it. But then they find it hard to put their hand in a bead bag. And then you find those who can chant all day. But then if you ask them to do something, it's like, oh God, they're not the first person you're going to come to. The service attitude is a little bit lacking. And then sometimes we have both of these things, but we don't have Vaishnavas in our life who we have deep relationships with. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoya Sadhu Sang. The root cause of the awakening of love for Krishna is substantial association with saintly people. So it's a fact. If you get close to saintly people, it's a fact. It's dangerous for your life. It's a fact. Therefore, most people like to keep a safe distance. I like these guys, but don't ask them too many questions. They might start telling you to do things. But if you let someone into your life, then they can do amazing things. So what does it mean to go deeper? We have to see, where am I lacking? Am I lacking in my sangha? Am I lacking in my sadhana? Am I lacking in my service attitude? These are the components of a dynamic spiritual life, available to all of us. So you have to do diagnosis. Diagnosis is 90% of the cure. So I can tell you, do this, this and this, but it depends on where you are. Okay. I see more hands, but I think we have to perhaps stop here. Or what is the time?
3. It's 3.
3. And we have to be at the next program by when?
6.
6. And how far is it? Sorry, I'm just sorry to include you in my planning. 1 hour. Okay. All right. So I think perhaps we have to stop here. I'm sorry. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Thank you so much, everyone.
Hare Krishna. So we have some of Maharaj's books here. We have four books available at the back there. Sorry, so we have 4 of Maharaj's books available at the back. We've got Gita Free, which is a practical workbook with lessons from a Bhagavad Gita. We then have Gita Life, which is a summary of a Bhagavad Gita done in acronym form. We have Tattva, where Maharaj answers many of life's most difficult questions in a really beautiful way. And finally, we've got Brooke Bhagavad, which is a summary of a whole Srimad Bhagavatam. They're available at the back there. Ananda Madhav and Nalisha will be taking the payments. And Maharaj is available for a very short time if you want to quickly meet him maybe and get your book signed. But please be mindful that Maharaj has other programs and commitments, so please just try and keep to timing as well. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we'd like to thank Maharaj for making it all the way here in Stouffville and giving us his association. How many of you would like to see Maharaj come to Stouffville again and again? So Maharaj has not really heard us that well, so if we can all raise our hands like Prabhu said earlier and tell Haribol 3 times so Maharaj can, it actually goes into Maharaj and he feels and puts us in his plan. 1, Haribol! 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 Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna devotees, the prasadam will be served here. Only Maharaj is going up. Everybody stay back for the prasadam in the hall itself. Hare Krishna.